Yeah, we're not live yet.
Live yet.
Just try to get some of the, make it easy.
Yeah. All the help we can get is appreciated.
Councillor Macri, we're live now.
Wow, we're on. Okay.
So for the record, I wish to move item 1, and I believe Councillor McKenna wishes to second that.
That's correct. Any discussion?
No discussion.
No discussion. I'll put that. All those in favour say aye. Those against? That's silence. Lovely. Okay, we'll declare that unanimous. The next one is item 2. That's the off-leash dog segregation. I know some councillors aren't in support of this. It's a motion that I've put up. The Tempe off-leash dog park created by Gateway actually has 2 separate off-leash dog areas. So it'd be great if we ran a trial just with some
Sorry, Councillor Macri, to interject, just a point of order. Do you have to move the motion to start debate on it?
Yeah, I've moved the motion to receive a note, but I'm going to put up another recommendation.
I think that was very rude. You don't do that when the mayor does that.
That's all right.
Debate.
Please, Councillor Passis, don't interrupt. Please.
That wasn't interrupting. That wasn't interrupting. No one was speaking.
Okay, thank you. What I'll move is that we initiate a trial of a segregated off-leash dog area down at Tempe, just using signage, encouraging people to take advantage of the actual 2 separate off-leash dog areas. They're existing, they're there, and we just install some signage recommending that. Catherine, can you just put those words up for me?
Are you able to repeat that, please?
Yeah. That council initiates a 12-month trial down at Tempe, the Tempe off-leash dog park, with regards to putting signage, encouraging people to use the segregated areas for smaller and larger dogs.
I've put it on the screen, but it might need to be amended again.
Yeah, that council initiated a 12-month trial at Tempe off-leash dog park, encouraging people through signage So it's not going to be policed. It's just encouraging people. That's all it is. So the staff won't have to put in resources. And just sometimes you need a bit of help to actually get your mind thinking. And if the sign's there, people will generally comply. It won't get everyone to comply.
May I speak next?
No, Colin's got his hand up. Colin.
Thanks, Councillor Macri. Look, I'll second that, if you like. I've also got an amendment too, which I think I sent to Catherine earlier in the second version, I think, Catherine, if we can. So I'll speak to both. Look, I'm happy to support Councillor Macri's motion, simply because I went down there, and thank you to the staff on a very rainy day for the opening of the new park down there at Tempe Reserve. Unfortunately, a small crowd on the day due to the rather inclement weather, but I think it is an opportunity to test it out. I think, it'd be nice to have people exercise some common sense around their dogs, but I think the report sets out the real issues there, and it is a genuinely difficult thing, but by all means, let's trial it. Why not? To speak to my amendments, one of the things we noted down there in one of those fenced off areas, there are trees there, which is great, and they are providing some shade and will provide more shade as they grow. I've certainly noticed in some of our areas in the former Marrickville area, O'Day Reserve, for example, where there's no trees in the dog park, and it gets stinking hot in summertime, both for hound and human. And I think it's really important to to put trees in there for the shade of all, just to cool things off. And the other thing, of course, is, and I'm not sure if Councillor Macri or Councillor Iskander have been called, but I'm sort of holding on to this for a while, but that as the budget may allow, a fenced off leash area be provided at Marrickville Park on the same location as current unfenced off leash dog area, following the appropriate community consultation. The dog walkers there contacted me last summer. The issue there is twofold. One, the off-leash area, which is fine, is right next to Livingston Road, and people are concerned that their dogs will, lose focus and go off and chase a car or something, which is exactly what we don't want to happen. And secondly, not that far away is a child play area, and frankly, the dog owners have said to me, look, we just don't want it. We want to make sure there's a barrier between the kids and the dogs. Again, that makes perfect sense to me. And I think there is an area there which could be, discreetly fenced off for the safety of dogs, humans and children, adults and children. And I think a consultation there would be a good thing. So pretty simple, straightforward stuff. And I hope councillors will support that as these things can be afforded. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just amend that slightly. The signage through encouraging through self-regulation, not with council staff actually going there and policing it. It's a suggestion for people how they should best use that park, because I don't want to put the staff in a situation. Okay. Councillor Pappas, you want to speak?
Look, in theory, it sounds great, but it won't work. And if it's not going to be policed, I think it's going to cause a lot of arguments between residents that own large dogs and small dogs. If there is a sign there and a large dog goes where the small dogs are, they will say there's the sign, it should not be here, and it will cause arguments. So you're putting a message up there that we are not policing. So I can't support it, I'm sorry. But one of the things I would raise about the dog parks, and especially the ones here, Bede Spillane, for instance, through you to the staff, I don't know if they would know it straight off, but I would like to know how much it's costing us to maintain these dog parks. And I believe that they should be closed in wet weather, because the surface and the grass has been changed so many times in Bede Spillane, it must be costing thousands and thousands of dollars. The churning up of the grass at the moment now, it's all muddy. There's hardly any grass there. So I do believe we should close them off in wet weather until it dries out. Can I have a comment from the officers on that through you, Chair?
A question through the relevant officer.
Either Kathy or Aaron.
Through the chair, I'm sorry, councillor, I couldn't give you an estimate off the top of my head of how much it costs us to maintain those grounds, but that's certainly something we could come back to you with. I guess it would be feasible to close the dog parks as we do sporting grounds, but I note that, dog owners generally do walk their dogs in any sort of weather, and I have a feeling it might be fairly unpopular with the dog owners. Aaron may want to add more.
Well, thank you for that, but I know they walk their dogs and the dogs cannot churn up the concrete footpaths. I don't believe that the ratepayers, the non-dog owners, should have to be footing the bill for a little bit of, what can I say, restraint till it dries out. We cannot be changing, planting and putting grass in, especially in the rainy seasons. It's just, this is all money. So I go past there frequently, and every time there's been some rain, the week after, it looks horrible. It's muddy, and I really don't think they want their animals or even themselves to track all that mud at home, and the dogs become very dirty. It's just simple common sense that they should not be there in that mud. And it's costing us money. That's the thing I've wanted to raise this on numerous occasions.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Passos. Any further speakers? Councillor Lockie.
Yeah, can I get some staff comment on the amended or the motions that are on in front of us, because they're a little bit quite different to what we had as a recommendation, please?
Yep, through the staff.
Through the chair, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, just through the chair, obviously the report highlights the significant challenges that would be faced with segregating the areas for a trial in terms of smaller dog, larger dog, and that is an issue, particularly where we have an owner who has two dogs of a different size, and we also have issues with puppies as well, which are not trained well enough to enjoy those spaces with larger dogs because of their age. But it is important, obviously, with the self-regulation that's been highlighted by the councillor, that is an opportunity for a trial period, but it will be challenging for council staff in terms of managing the complaints that we may receive.
Thanks for that. Look, I'll just speak briefly, and I do appreciate where Councillor Macri is coming and Councillor Hesse are coming from with their amendments. We've all had, lots of discussions with owners of dogs and so forth. I won't be supporting the motion only because a couple of reasons, but mainly because of the comments that we've just had now and that are in the report about the difficulties of managing this, both in the interim, where people, even though we're saying we're not going to enforce it, I do think that potential for the conflict Councillor Passos highlighted and the complaints that the council officer highlighted are inevitable, as they always are whenever we mess around with dog parks and on-leash and off-leash areas, even when we've got some good evidence base behind the changes that we make. And look, I own a dog, a greyhound dog of the inner west. She's a big dog, quite a gentle dog. She doesn't initiate attacks, but I have to say she's been attacked by small dogs and large dogs. And in those cases, I wouldn't say necessarily it's down to the nature of the dog or whether we were in an on-leash or off-leash area. It comes down to behaviour of the owners more often than not, and education about what it means to be a responsible dog owner, to recognise that just because you think your dog is quote unquote friendly, it doesn't mean that other dogs are going to react to your dog rushing up to them to play in the way that you expect. And I know that Council, through its companion animals policy and plans, does have a big emphasis on trying to do outreach to owners and do education within the limited resources that we have. So look, I think if we're going to go down this path, this is the least painful way to do it, but I do wonder what happens at the end of that 12-month trial. Like, how do we expand that if it happens to work? But yeah, I can foresee lots of issues with trying to implement either a trial or an ongoing one. So yeah, regrettably, I will be voting against this one.
Okay, further speakers?
Yes, Councillor Steer here. I'd like to second the amendment by Councillor Hesse.
Yep, no problem. You want to speak to any of it?
Very quickly, yes. I think this is a sensible motion. It is often a problem for large and small dogs to congregate together in a park, often because the owners don't pay enough attention to them and interact with them enough. However, I think, and some small dogs are very aggressive towards larger dogs. And that's not ideal either. So I'll probably swap them down. I think particularly with the amendments Councillor Hesse has proposed, that this motion would actually enhance the Tempe off-leash dog park by making it easier for dog owners to walk their dogs, by avoiding conflict between dogs, and also by having a more pleasant amenity with shade trees and fencing and so on and so forth. I'd also like to say it's not fair to expect dogs to walk
We've lost you, councillor, dear. Go back to where you were standing. Hello? Okay, we've lost councillor Steer. Okay, is there any further discussion? Sounds like she's out past Pluto.
It's just not fair to expect my batteries, my so I'm probably not my usual self. Okay, I've said enough. I'll give up now. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm happy to accept the amendments into the motion. So I've never sort of considered that something might work is a bad reason not to do it. So I'll take those. I don't know how to sort of respond to those comments Councillor Lockie made, but it's not like we're building this. It's there. The signage is only there to help people think that the two off-leash dog parks are side by side, and we need to just give it a go. 12 months' time, if the data comes back good, that means, well, we can keep it as such. If the data comes back bad, we say, forget about it, take the signs down. But at least we know we've had the opportunity to see if it works. That's all. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Myself, Councillor Hesse, Councillor Stamoulis, Councillor De Cruz. Sam, are you supporting? Yes or no? Sam, you with us? I can't hear. All right, Councillor Kiat, Councillor McKenna, I saw a hand up. Councillor Rasidi? Yes. Councillor Steer? I can't see her.
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, yes.
Here we are.
Okay. Those against? Those against, can you just call out your names? So I've got Councillor Skander, Councillor Lockie, Councillor Jury, and that was it. Is that everyone?
Well, is Councillor York at the meeting?
No, I can't see her.
Sorry, Councillor Macri, I dropped out for a moment.
Are you in
what are we voting on?
We're voting on the trial of the off-leash dog with some amendments to put some more trees for shade, and if budget allows, to look at another area in Maryville to get some fencing in.
Yeah, I'll vote for that.
Okay, and Councillor Port is in support. Okay, so that's carried. We'll go to item 3, which is the Aquatic Centre opening hours.
Can I move the adoption of the recommendation?
Yes, you can. Is there a seconder?
Yeah, I guess I'll second it since I requested this information. And while I'm seconding, I might thank the officers of writing it. It's very useful. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yes, I'd like to say a few words.
Yes, Councillor Passos.
Given the cost of the pool, I would think that we would want to have it open 24/7. I would like, through you to the officers, I don't think they've discussed the different seasons on the times of the openings, of the closing. I think in summer, we would like it to be open longer, especially for all the people that live in units in Ashfield. I know gyms are working 24/7. And I think maybe all the concern about that we're going to lose revenue if we give pensioner or social security rebates, we might pick up the shortfall if the gym did stay open and we advertised it more. The other 24-hour gyms seems to be, a lot of them seem to be working very well. Maybe we should be looking at that, not reducing hours. if the pool is so successful as everyone is saying, I would expect we're asking for extended hours. And I would hope we had extended hours in summer. So I can't support this recommendation. I would like us to try to sell our pool a little bit more than what we've been doing. There was a hoo-ha at the opening and nothing since. So, yeah, I think this is not looking at selling our pool to people. The cost would outweigh the outlay to the staff if we did extend the hours. And could somebody explain to me through you, Chair, to the appropriate officer, what about the seasons? Would not summer be an extended hours?
Through to the relevant officer. I believe that's Simon.
Simon there.
Simon?
He must be muted. I'll just try and call him. Just bear with me for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Simon's relaying this to me. He can't get his speaker to work. We use March as an endpoint, so it's not the high season or the low season.
Okay. All right. Does that satisfy your question, Councillor Passos?
No,
We could review.
Answer.
So we use March because it's not the peak period, but we could use summer. Is that what you're saying, Simon? Yes.
Yes, well, look,
We could use summer numbers to review.
look, the thing what I'm saying here is, it seems to be that what we've built, the people don't want it. So it's there now. It's there now. So what are we doing to attract people to the pool and the gym? And I do believe the report should have said about the seasons. This looks like it's the whole year. We're just going to stick to those hours the whole year. This is a very, very expensive community resource that we've put there, and we must use it to the best. I don't know why. I'm sorry, I have to say that this report does not tell us really what's going on down at the pool and why we should vote for this. It is not giving us enough information. We are not down the pool. We don't know what's going on. We rely on the staff to let us know. When councillors ask for reports, the reports should really be covering everything. So the answer that I have really, it doesn't answer my questions, and it doesn't lead me to say, I'll just vote for this.
Okay.
Because we're spending our time, we're spending officers' time to give reports, and what are we achieving?
Can people hear me now?
Yes,
Yep.
Simon.
Great,
Yes.
thank you. Excuse me, sorry for the mix up there. So I guess the March period was picked because it's sort of a midpoint, it's a shoulder season, so it could be assumed as being a bit of an average throughout the year. We could take the position that the usage is different in summer, certainly it is. I wasn't asked to identify peaks and low seasons and make recommendations about different opening times. It was really to extend the opening times. So we just derived the costs on that basis. I think the thing to recognise with the aquatics and leisure centres in particular is the high staffing content. So where they're entirely different to the 24/7 fitness clubs and things like that, they're small studios and they have no staff. You have to buzz yourself in and buzz yourself out, and they're an entirely different operation. Our facilities are very popular. They're very busy, but there's certainly a peak period that trails off markedly, and that tends to be around that 8 p.m. Period. It's not to say that in summer we couldn't consider doing something slightly different or some peak times, but there's nothing in our attendance data at the moment that I can see that determines or suggests that we have ongoing significant attendance requirements outside of 8 o'clock. Swim schools closed, kids are back at home, squads finish up, a lot of our bookings and hirers finish up. So there are expenses, and it's not necessarily income that we're not taking, it's expenses that we directly generate. So it's fairly easy to quantify those expenses. We have to assume a number of staff in the pools, in the centre and in the gym, and that gives us the costs that I've shown.
Okay, thanks. Councillor Jury.
Yeah. Look. To be frank, I'd prefer to be taking the advice of our Senior Manager Aquatic Services in relation to our aquatic centre than the thoughts of Councillor Passes, who persistently and consistently
this is
Order.
it's not productive. The Councillor Passes, her view is her view. Don't engage with her. She didn't mention you in any of her comments. Please don't mention her, because you're just going to prolong this meeting, and we're only up to item 3, and there's about 30 more items to go. Please stick to the item, and that's it. No more personal attacks. Not interested. Okay, so can I just put this item to vote, please?
Actually, could I make an amendment?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a bit puzzled now by the report, and obviously I didn't read it closely enough. But what I was actually thinking was that over summer is the period we'd like to extend the pool. And so I'd like to add a point 4 that a further report be brought back about extending the hours of the Ashfield pool and other pools over the summer season.
I second that.
Second by Councillor Passes. So that's an amendment. Councillor Jury, you happy to accept that? Councillor Jury, are you happy to accept that amendment?
Could it be qualified with if the need arises?
It's only a report.
Right. All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
You happy to accept that, Councillor Jury? I just need the yes or no.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. That
Point of
becomes-
order.
Yeah.
I think point 3, in a sense, you can't put point 3 and point 4 because they counter each other. I think you have to remove point 3 and replace it with point 4.
Well, this is to get a report.
I would suggest doing that, Councillor Cruz.
I think the
Because
point
otherwise-
is that we're not making any changes at this point, but we've asked for the report.
That's right. Correct. Yeah.
Point 3 is not making changes. Point 4 is asking for a further report.
That's right. Based on the sum.
Point 3 is just nothing really. It's,
Yeah.
Except saying we will do nothing and we won't do nothing. We'll keep on doing nothing until next year. That's
Okay,
really what it says.
okay, I agreed. I think Councillor Drury, Councillor Porteous is correct. We should drop point 3.
I disagree.
Okay.
I don't agree with that either, Councillor Cruz. You may lose the amendment to get the report. You really want to?
Okay, let's leave it.
Okay.
Can I ask
All
you a
right.
question, please, Councillor Macri?
Yes, please.
Just of the staff, what are the opening hours at our centres like in the summer at the moment?
Through to the relevant officer.
Through the chair.
Through the chair. Yep, through the chair. So the opening hours for our centres are the same all year round. There are some slight variations between centres, and that's what we're trying to capture in that 0.3, so that our community could have consistency between our different centres. And we're talking about a half an hour here or different times on weekends and public holidays. So certainly trying to harmonise those. But generally, we open sort of from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Leichhardt Aquatic Centre opens a little bit earlier. There's a really, really busy squad program there. And we have the pools themselves close slightly before the gym, about an hour before the gym, because it takes you an hour to clean the pools and pack down everything. But for the most part, it's sort of 6 to 9 or around that, those hours. And that they're across Monday to Sunday, all year round.
Could I also ask a question?
Yes, Councillor Porteous, please.
I just wanted to clarify, on that sort of basis, if there was an intention to harmonise opening hours, would that be brought back to council for confirmation of any change of hours, or would the staff do that without bringing it to council in the way this is worded in this motion?
Through the chair, I would make the point that we would like to bring that back through to council to keep our councillors aware of those changes and those improvements, essentially. So there'll be no issue with bringing something of that nature back to council.
Okay, can we put this one to bed now? All those in support of the recommendation, raise your hands. So myself, Councillor Passis, Councillor Stamoulis, Councillor Hesse, are you up or down? Up? No, down. Okay, Councillor Hesse is against. Councillor Dew? You're up. Councillor Lockie's up. Councillor De Cruz must be up. Councillor Kiat?
I couldn't quite hear you. Could you please repeat what he said?
Okay, and Councillor McKenna? Just lost you. Yes. Councillor Rosidi, yes. Councillor Porteous, yes. Yes. Councillor Skander, yes. And Councillor Steer, yes. Okay.
Yes.
That's carried unanimous.
Yes.
For Councillor Hesse. Okay. Well, it's not unanimous then. Okay.
I'll change my vote. Make it unanimous.
Make it unanimous. Don't want to be a party pooper. Good. Okay.
Maker, could I move item 4?
Yes, you can. I'll second it. No need for discussion.
Yes, there is.
No.
Thank you.
Discussion.
No discussion. I'll put that. All those in favour.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes.
Discussion.
Do you want to discuss it?
Yeah, just a couple of things, if I could.
Yes. Councillor Wallace.
Yeah. Thank you. The first question is, I'm wondering why the level of our investments has been flatlining basically for now 2 years. Is there any reason for that?
Through the relevant officer.
Through the chair, if you could just clarify the question when you say flatlining.
Basically, it's hitting about 230 to 232 million and not changing much at all. Just wondered what might be happening.
That's a question for Daryl or Peter Lavanis.
Okay, all right. We might take that one on notice.
That won't be long.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, through the chair. It's Daryl Jackson.
Thanks,
At the moment, our investments are at that level as a large proportion of spend hasn't taken place, which would have required that those funds to be come through with once matured and to pay for a lot of the work.
Yeah, I'm talking about the last 2 years. So why it's sort of being so static? Is there something that's happening there that there's not increasing?
No, so effectively we're trying to keep our investment balance as high as possible and constant, and effectively the money that is on call in our savings account is covering expenses at the moment due to the lower spend rate.
Would we expect any growth then, say, over the next year or 2 years, or do we expect it to stay fairly flat?
At the moment, we're seeing it as staying in that vicinity.
Okay, all right. I might ask further questions later about that. And then going to page 4 of this report, again, we've seen this anomaly of a negative monthly portfolio return. And that sort of confused us all when we got it a couple of years ago. And now we're sitting at sort of nearly minus 2% there for the monthly portfolio return. And that seems a little bit odd. So, look, if there's no information at the moment, happy to, if you take that on notice, to find out a bit more about it. But it seems odd that that'd be sitting at minus 2%.
Okay, is any further
Sorry.
questions?
Sorry, through the check. Our portfolio for April year to date was above the Bank Bull Index benchmark. It was better by 0.07%.
Yep.
Right.
Then go down to the start of the report. So where it's got the banner page inner west, go down to the next page and you'll see a chart there showing it dipping down to minus 2%.
That was the month of February.
Right.
Right, where we had a lot of maturity coming through and there was no investments to put the money back into, as in green investments, that was paying a decent return.
But it hit negative.
No, it didn't hit negative because the money was sitting in our cash account.
Okay.
So the monthly portfolio return dropped because of the maturing funds weren't reinvested in a product or products that were generating sufficient interest for us to play, and there was no green products at the same time for us to invest in.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you for that answer. Yeah.
Okay. Any further questions? No further questions. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? No. Declare that unanimous. Okay. We're rolling. Item 5, electricity procurement. Happy to move the recommendation. Is there a
I'll second it.
second? Councillor McKenna. Any discussion?
Yeah, I don't know if the officer's there or not. Is John Steeble there?
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay, don't worry.
No? Okay.
No,
All
he's
right.
not.
Yep, it's fine.
Okay. Don't need to speak to it. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
No. Those against? Declare that unanimous. Okay. Investment report for May. Happy to move. John moved, second by Councillor McKenna. Okay. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll put that. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
No, those against? Declare that unanimous. Okay. New arrangements for mayoral support.
Move it.
Moved by Councillor McKenna, seconded by Councillor Jury. Discussion?
Councillor Macri, I'd just like
No,
to move
go-
an amendment to this item.
Okay. Councillor Kiat.
And I would like to speak on this item, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Kiat's moved an amendment. Do you want to speak to it, Councillor Kiat, and explain to us?
Yep, so the first 3 points, just note the points that are made by the general manager in the report. That is that the current arrangements for the office of the mayor have been abolished, that the 2 FTE administrative staff from the office of the mayor are now working with the governance team to provide support to all councillors, including the mayor, and that the 2.6 FTE median external communication staff from the Office of the Mayor have been relocated to work with the media and communications team. So, look, I think that's a positive step from the General Manager in response to the earlier memo that we received that showed that the staffing in the Office of the Mayor was greatly in excess of what exists at comparable councils, and particularly that there were 2.6 full-time equivalent positions for media and communications. So that is, every single day of the week, 2.6 FTE working on just media and communications for the Mayor, in addition to what's happening with council and communications. So I thought that was a prudent move by the General Manager to act on that earlier report, and consistent with, I think, what council had expressed in previous discussions of this issue. The fourth point is just to endorse these changes in principle when the council is considering the review of the councillors' expenses and facilities policy, which will that will have to be readopted with the new term of council. And I think that we can endorse in principle that the Office of the Mayor should have a maximum of one FTE administrative support to do the important work that the Mayor has to do, but not get into a situation where we have over $500,000 a year being used in the Office of the Mayor. Thanks.
Okay, I think you. I just think you noticed that the 2.6 FTE media communications, I think that's the wrong way around. I think they're not media.
Yeah, through the chair. So thank you. It's 2.6 in the report. It's 2 FTE for media and comms staff and 2.6 for the administrative staff.
So we'll fix that up, Tom.
Thanks, Councillor Macri and Peter.
Councillor Jury.
I was next, Councillor.
Or Councillor Jury and first Councillor Passes. Please. You can go next. Don't worry. We're not going to stop you speaking.
No, I want to hear from Councillor Passes.
Okay. All right, Councillor Passes, please.
Oh, I want to hear from Councillor Drury.
Well, please, no lovings. Otherwise,
I don't want to hear from either of them.
All I was pointing out,
Councillor Passes,
I was pointing out, Chair, that I was next, but I will step back.
No. Councillor Passes, please. Councillor Passes, please. We're wasting time.
They both waived their right.
Okay, I'll speak. First of all, you stated, Chair, not long ago on how much how much staff we got and what the staff is costing this council. You stated previously. This report just tells me that we've just hired staff that we didn't really need. We're taking staff from somewhere and putting them somewhere else. I can't accept this. And what I would like to say and what I would like to move, this whole saga, I would move that we have a complete independent investigation in how this came about. I'm not casting aspersions on this report, but we are trying to take up the flak of something that should never, ever have happened. You stop and think how much that the ratepayers have forked out for the Mayor to have someone put out his press releases when we have quite good staff that can do this. I'm not going to sit back and say, okay, we'll take up the surplus and put them on the council's books again. No. The wrong thing, from what I can see, and with how this has panned out, the wrong thing was being done. And by tap dancing around it doesn't make it right. I am moving for a complete independent investigation. Amendment, foreshadowed motion, anything you want to call it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jury.
I no longer need to speak.
Okay. All right. Are there any further speakers on this?
Yes, Councillor Macri.
Yes,
Uh,
Councillor Stamoulis, please.
Councillor Macri, I think that it's fair to say that all councillors were shocked and surprised when we found out that about the very high staffing levels of the Mayor's office, and I think that our community need to hear that, and I think that it's important that they now see our General Manager is addressing this in an appropriate way. And I'm hoping that activities are in place or rules are in place now to ensure that this doesn't occur again. So I do see this as a report that is positive, and I do take on board what Councillor Passis is saying. There are unanswered questions. Councillors are not aware of how this happened, but it's good to know that it's been resolved. Without knowing how it's happened, that means it could happen again, and that would be problematic for us. It's difficult for us to explain to our community why the mayoral's office has been staffed to over $2 million of staffing resources. That's difficult for us to explain as a governance body. So I thank the General Manager and other officers involved in the due diligence here. I would like the General Manager to go forward one step further and ensure that allocation of staff is made to councillors, that we do see the results of that, not just see it as a resolution, but do see the results of that effectively, because many councillors have said it has been hard to access this council. We've been cut off from staff. We make phone calls and we don't get a phone call back for two days, a week, or whatever it might be. Now, this resolution says that staff are going to be made accessible to councillors. I would like the General Manager to activate that, and that would be a strong positive message to send. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom Catt's motion was seconded by Councillor Hesse. Any further speakers?
Do I have a seconder for what I moved?
Is anyone going to second Councillor Passis's motion? No, doesn't look like at this stage, Councillor Passis, no.
Got a lot to say behind the scenes, but you just don't come out and say it out in the open.
Okay.
I would like my motion seconded to put it on record that I'm calling for a full investigation into how this came about and what role are these staff members going to have. I don't need them to run my campaign.
Okay.
So what is their role?
Point of order.
Yes,
You've made a ruling, Chair. You need to move on.
Yes, we need to move forward. Okay, so I'm going to put the motions up for voting. The amendments first. Those in favour of Councillor Catt and Councillor Hesse's amendments, raise their hands, please. Councillor Stamoulis, Councillor Hesse, Councillor De Cruz, Councillor Catt, Councillor McKenna, no. Councillor Rasidi, what are you doing? Can't see you. Okay, Councillor Porteous, Councillor Skender, no. Councillor Steer, I can't see you. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And those against? So Councillor Skender, Councillor McKenna, Councillor Rasidi, I can't see.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, just a minute. What are we voting on?
Voting on Mr. Catt's motion. He's amendment. Councillor Duke, against?
Is it up there? I can't
Yes,
see it.
it's
Can
there.
you take that voting pattern off?
It's there.
I'm voting against that and I'm voting against the motion.
Okay. All right. Councillor Passis against. All right. I'm in favour. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's carried. Okay. The amendment becomes part of the motion.
Councillor Macri?
Yes.
It's 6-all because we have councillors York, Lockie and Byrne out, and I'm not sure on councillor Rosidi.
She's out as well.
She's out.
She's out.
She's out.
She's not answering.
1, 2, 3. But
It's 6-4 and 5 against.
6, 4 and 5 against.
Yep.
Yeah, 6, 4 and 5 against. That's carried.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we go to the motion. All those in favour of the motion? So can we have a show of hands? I've got Councillor Stamoulis, Councillor Hesse, Councillor Cruz, Councillor Kiat, Councillor McKenna, Councillor Rosidi, I can't see, Councillor Porteous, Councillor Steer, and then we've got against, we've got Councillor Skander. Yeah, Councillor Jury and Councillor Passissiu 4 against. Against. Okay, so that's it. So where are those numbers there?
That's 7-4 and 4 against.
Okay, that's carried. Okay, done. All right, we'll go to the next one, which is item 8. I'm happy to move the recommendation there. Is there a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor McKenna. Do we need to
And
discuss?
I've got some amendments.
Oh, God.
Okay,
Which I've sent to Catherine. It's mainly some points about the that a traffic study will be undertaken by Transport for New South Wales. I think there's a critical thing that's missing is direct pedestrian access from the parklands from Littlefield Light Rail Station, and that the plan should generally prioritise walking, cycling and public transport access to the parklands, and that the walking and cycling routes to the Glebe Island Bridge be incorporated.
is there a seconder for those?
Yeah.
Okay, seconded. Who was that? Sorry.
Yeah.
That was Councillor. You're breaking up.
I'm happy to second them.
Yeah, Councillor Porteous.
Councillor Porteous.
Yeah. All right. Any further discussion needed?
Yeah, Councillor Macri, I'm back online and I just wanted to speak to the item momentarily.
Yep.
I think it's important.
You want to take over?
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
and thanks very much for your work. I think it's important that we note in the context of this report that the council has resolved, I think unanimously, that there should be a master plan for the Roselle Parklands, and that both the development of the master plan and the provision of the transparent costs is a prerequisite for council taking on care, control and management of the site. And that's not just to protect ratepayers, but to ensure that we can get the best possible public asset out of the creation of the parklands. I don't think it's clear that that's occurred so far. The government's capped the funding for the park at $15 million, but the advice that I've received from engineers is that it's likely to cost much more than that. And so we can't have ratepayers having to foot the bill, but we also don't want to end up with a park which doesn't have the proper integration of facilities so that it will be used by the whole community. I am worried that the government is trying to get away with doing this project on the cheap. And so I would seek to move an amendment to restate council's commitment, restate council's resolution that a master plan with transparent costs must be provided before any negotiation over care, control and management of the site. I think it's really important that we stay firm on that position now. So I'm happy to move the primary motion as there's not a mover for that as yet, and incorporate that into the primary motion.
I think there is a mover.
Council's commitment. I've just got and hear somebody else in the background.
Yeah, can everyone mute, please?
Transparent. There we go. Well, I'm just going on what's on the screen, Councillor De Cruz, which is an amendment from yourself and Councillor Porteous. I assume, is that an amendment to the primary motion?
Yes, and I believe the primary motion's already been moved.
Okay, well, I'm very happy for you and Councillor Porteous to be the movers of the primary motion with those additional points, and I'm simply moving that as a further amendment to your primary motion. Is there a seconder for that amendment?
Sorry, can the minute taker just move up a little bit, because I think there's already a mover and a seconder on the motion. Can we actually see it on the screen? There, Macri McKenna, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my mistake. Okay, thanks very much for that. So I'll move that. So, well, in that case, let's deal with the De Cruz Porteous amendment first. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to it, or sorry, can it be incorporated into the primary motion, Councillor Macri?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that's incorporated, and I'll just ask for the. Yeah, that's fine. That amendment as recorded by the minute takers is good. So can that be incorporated, Councillor Macri?
Yes, yes.
That's incorporated as well. Excellent.
Councillor Byrne, I think I have another amendment which I hope can also be incorporated.
Great.
There it is.
Excellent.
I'll let Councillor Macri decide about that. It reads that council, did you say yep?
Yep.
Oh, good on you.
Okay, incorporated, flying here. Any further amendments? If not, I'll go to Councillor Macri for his right of reply.
No need, Chair.
Okay, I'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Declare that carried. Now, councillors, it's 10:56. As you know, council is in recess until the 20th of July, as adopted by resolution in the schedule of meetings. Now, I know we've had a meeting almost every week this year, or it's felt that way at least, but I don't think we could reasonably insist that council staff or councillors who have made holiday plans around that schedule, that they should unnecessarily need to come back for an additional meeting between now and then, given that's a long-standing adopted schedule of the council. So how would we like to deal with the remaining matters on the agenda? The options are that we can defer them to the next ordinary meeting of council, or that we can adjourn the meeting, which would mean that none of the resolutions that we've adopted will actually be able to be enacted. So I think in the case of the budget and the other urgent items, that's clearly not a good option. So, or we can extend the meeting tonight.
Or is there for another option, Councillor Byrne?
No one's going on holidays.
Basically, we're all in lockdown. Well, we're all in lockdown. Nobody's going on holidays.
No one's
anywhere.
going on holidays.
Yep.
I believe we should have the meeting next week.
Yeah, I agree
or
with you,
even
Councillor.
Thursday.
That's
Or
what I'm
even
saying
Thursday.
as well. We might as well have it next Tuesday when everybody's going to be in lockdown anyway.
Right. Is there anyone
the
else?
alternative is we go through till midnight or later to get it. We've got to finish the agenda. It's been sitting there for a few, over a month now. We can't leave it.
Councillors?
Can I make this suggestion, Councillor Byrne? I've just looked through my notes on the rest of the items, and I think almost all of them I would be happy to pass through without comment. And I'm just wondering whether, I'm not suggesting we do it tonight because I think you've previously commented that often doesn't work, but maybe if we try to do that ahead of having another meeting so that we can really only deal with the items that need to be dealt with.
Who do you propose would coordinate that process?
Oh, I don't know. Who's got time? Everyone's saying they're in lockdown with plenty of time. I don't know.
Oh, let's just have the meeting next Tuesday.
Oh,
Yep.
So we should adjourn the meeting until next Tuesday.
No.
Then we
Close
don't
the meeting and have a
break the
new
Local
meeting.
Government Act.
Okay.
I
Mayor,
think we need to-
could I just comment? Is that it does seem to me that a lack of discipline in terms of dealing with this will not be resolved by just holding more meetings. These meetings are very tiring. I think we have a lot of people speaking and saying the same things. I do think that if we are to have another meeting, I agree with Councillor Keir. We need some discipline around it such that we will get through the items.
So I move that we have the meeting next Tuesday.
Councillor Passos is moving that the rest of the items on the agenda be deferred to another ordinary meeting to be convened next Tuesday.
The 6th of July.
Is there a
And
second
Pat
for
is
that?
to address the issue
I'll
that was
second
raised.
it.
Yes, so we can complete this agenda.
No, you don't need to give a speech about it, Councillor Passos. It's
I'll
perfectly
second it.
clear what the gist of the motion is. It's been seconded by Councillor Rossetti. Now, can I just ask in passing, is there any councillor who's, so if the council meets next Tuesday, the 6th, I believe Councillor Porteous said it was, and then we've got the recess long adopted, that would then mean that there wasn't another meeting between the 6th and the 20th. Is there any councillor who's got an extraordinary meeting that they're considering calling between those two meetings or between now and when the next meeting starts, so that other councillors could start to make some, and staff could start to make some plans around that? Obviously, there might be an unforeseen issue. Of course, if there's an emergency, that's totally understandable if someone would call one. But is there anyone, I think it'd be helpful if people who were planning on calling one between now and July 20 were able to let the rest of the group know now, so that we could.
Mayor, I don't know how you could ask the councillors that. Nobody knows.
Sorry, Councillor Passos, it's just a straw poll, just to check the temperature and see whether anyone had a meeting in mind. It's not an offensive question.
Chair, is there any way we could do it tomorrow night, even Thursday night? I mean, we're in lockdown, we're not going anywhere, and we can keep next week free. If councillors, I mean, there's what, 12, 14 items, basically notices of motion. Most of them feel good fuzzy things. You'd almost rip through them. Is there an appetite to finish it this week?
No, I'd prefer next Tuesday.
I prefer not tomorrow night.
Regardless, councillors, we've got a procedural motion before us, which now needs to be dealt with. Thanks everyone for attempting to try and find a way forward in good faith. I'll just note before we deal with that motion, because then the meeting will be closed, that when we had our respectful relationships training, there was a very strong sentiment from the vast majority of councillors participating that if there could be more discipline around councillors asking multiple questions and speaking on multiple items, that would have a huge benefit for everybody on the council. And it wasn't suggested that there was a majority of councillors doing that. It was quite a small minority that were, according to the consensus in the room. And that's still the problem with why it's so difficult to get through meetings. It's not rocket science.
Oh, please.
I would respectfully request, well, you weren't in attendance at the Respectful Relationships training, Councillor Passos, so you wouldn't be familiar with what was said and agreed.
Well, it didn't achieve much.
And so I would just ask, in the context of the next meeting, it's been raised by 2 or 3 councillors now, that there really needs to be an effort for groups on council to coordinate and make sure that what should take an hour doesn't take 4 hours, given how many meetings we've had this year, which is an extraordinary number by any measure. So
Well,
I'll
Mr.
just
Mayor, can I suggest-
request that we all try to uphold what we agreed to in that training. I'll now
Okay.
put the procedural motion.
can I
Councillor Passos,
request-
if you could desist from interjecting, I'll
No,
put
can
the
I just
procedural
request-
motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. In support, I have councillors Stamoulis, Hesse, Drury.
Mr. Mayor, what are we voting on? What are
Your
we voting
motion,
on?
your motion, Julie.
McKenna, Kiat, Rossetti, Porteous,
I'm against.
Iskander. Councillor Kiat, you're against, are you?
Yeah, I
Okay,
agree with Councillor Macri.
All those against, please raise your hands. Against, I have councillors Macri and Kiat. Is that right?
I'll favour. I'm fine.
So just Kiat. That has been carried. I declare the meeting closed.
I wondered if we could have some legal.
Thanks, everyone.
The
Good
meeting
night.
has been
Night,
closed,
thanks, Dave.
Councillor Pastis. I'll ask the minute takers to close the meeting.